So, did you ever get connected with the rest of your family at any point? Or did you, talk to, did you end up getting back in contact with them?
Oh yes, we have a good contact with the
Yeah.
family over, of course, yes,
Yeah.
and they come to visit. They came for my 80th birthday. 10 people came. They rented a cottage here in Penetang. Some stayed with me, some stayed with friends, and some stayed at the cottage, and we did all kinds of things together. Yes, they are very interested to keep it going, the connection, and my children go over for holidays, especially when there are special birthdays, round birthdays or 75 birthdays or anniversaries. We are always invited. Weddings. There was a wedding of a grandnephew just 3 months ago. My son and my daughter went over for them. Yes. And both my children, I lost one son, so both of my children who are living went to my hometown. We went before the wall fell. We went to visit my hometown where I was born. My husband wanted to see it, and my oldest son came with me. So I showed them around where I used to live, where I used to play, where I used to go to school, and showed them my town. And then a few years later, I took other family members and showed them. My little brother, who could not remember what it was like when he was 3, he left. So now I took him and showed him where we lived, and we took lots of pictures. And but he had no idea. For him, everything was new. And so last year, 2 years ago, my daughter went over on her own and visited Danzig. She doesn't speak Polish, but we have a friend there. I should say, or maybe I'm the instigator. I befriended a little girl on our first visit to Danzig. She was selling postcards on the main street and talked German to us. And we got interested and said, well, what's your name? How come you speak German? You're a Polish girl, And she said she got the German from her grandmother. But all her family speaks Polish. But she was interested, and she always spoke to the German tourists and sold the most postcards, of course. So then that was very interesting, but when we met her at night, when we went to go to our hotel, we met her again. And so I thought, we can ask more questions. Where do you go to school? And so what is your ambition? And she would like to travel. And I said, well, write to us. Write to us. Here's our address. Write to us. So she wrote for several years. And when she was 17, we sent the money over and invited her to come and stay with us for 4 weeks. So we have this little Polish girl who's now 25 or even 28, I think. And when my daughter Victoria went over, she contacted her, and she showed her around, because she would know where everything is. She grew up there, and we had talked, and I had shown her a picture and told her where I lived. So that was a very good connection, and I'm glad we have that connection. And she's very grateful to us. She always writes or sends emails. She has a stint in Scotland to see if she could find a job, because she couldn't find anything in Poland that was worthwhile. So I hope she's all right. And yes, our children are very interested in their heritage. And I'm glad for that. I'm glad. They took German at the high school. I also had a teaching job at the German school. I don't know, any of you know Mr. Staude? He was a teacher at the high school, history teacher, and German teacher, history and geography and German. So he started a Saturday school to teach German, and I taught German in Barry before I came here, and 3 years here, every Saturday. And my children went to the school, and lots of others, because there's a big German community in Midland, due to the lights factory that started in 1953 here. First, they were all German people, and they brought their families over. So we still have a German club here in Midland. But I don't know many people who came from Danzig. In fact, I don't know anybody. So it's very nice that it comes out in the open now, and that some people will know where I come from, and that Danzig is there, because some people don't even know where it is. And I'm glad you're interested in it, and you ask questions, and so you find out about it. And I brought something that I like to show you. When the girl came over from Poland, she brought me a bag. This is our emblem. Can you get it?
Yeah.
This is our emblem. Down you see the city. And this is our emblem. And it's 1,000 years old. The city.
The city's 1,000 years.
The 997 was, the name was found in a book that a Roman author wrote about one bishop or something. And this was named Gdansk or Danzig. It had another name, a Latin name. 997. So in 1997, when she came, she brought me this bag. It was 1,000 years old, my hometown. That's something, isn't
Yes,
it?
It is.
And people here, it's hard to believe when something is 100 years old. Well, this is 1,000 years old. Mm-hmm. And that's still the emblem. They kept it. It's the same emblem that's always been. And a friend just sent me an emblem the other day, and a neighbor just contacted me. He used to live across the street from us, and I was friends with his sister, and they escaped on the same ship we did. But he's now 86 years old, lonely, lost 2 wives, and asked his sister if he could have my address so that he could correspond. And just a month ago, I think I got the first letter, if I would remember him. And I wrote right back, of course I remember him. He grew up across the street. So in his letter, he sent me, I put it in the book, I think. And I was so surprised. I guess this is better. He sent me this. Thank you. That's also our city. He sent me this. Whoops. They're so slippery. See, he sent me this, which coincides with, except for the lions, you see?
Yeah.
And I just got that last week, so. And he sent me an old, a picture of an old map, how it looked like in 1939.
Okay.
Can you get that on?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And since I just got it, and I haven't heard from this man in 50 years or even more, when he left to be a soldier, that was in 44, and I've never saw him again. And now he writes to me, and he's very, very pleased to hear, you know, what I can tell him about Danzig. He has never been back, and I have been back, so I could tell him lots of things. So he says he goes to the mailbox every day to see if I have written. And I'm very busy, I can't write all the time.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things going on.